Hi and welcome, my name is Hussein Al-Rubaye, and in this video I'm going to present the paper of how library migration impacts software quality and comprehensions. So before we start, let's get a simple example about API. API is Application Program Interface. A simple example I can give you is the Facebook application. When you open a Facebook application, you see information about the weather based on your current location. Well, Facebook is a social media company and they will not care about implementing functionality related to the weather. Rather than that, they just call existing library, they send them their location or existing API, such as Yahoo Weather API. They send them their existing location, then they retrieve the weather information based on your location. So the APIs or the library provide outstanding services and features for the developers. And based on existing study we did, there is on 57,000 projects, 95% of these projects depend on third-party libraries. On average, there's around 65 process of upgrade or migration in every single project. So all these numbers you see it, you definitely think about software maintenance or library maintenance. Well, you use an exist library and well, for sometimes then this library is no longer supported, it's just deprecated, or you find a cheaper library. They say, okay, another library is cheaper, provide better service, or another library has a high performance, so you need to move from one library to another. We call library migration. For example, you are using JSON and you want to move to JSON. In this case, you have to go through the code and search whenever there is any call from the JSON or the method call from the JSON library and replace it with the methods calls from JSON, which seems you should replace it with the same method. Well, not same method, another method from the another library do same functionality. So you want to keep the behavior same when you migrate from one library to another. So this is a basic example I can give you where developer did migrate from JSON version 1.111 to JSON 222. So for example, in the first example, there is a put method is get replaced by add property. And the second example, there is a put method it get replaced by add property and to JSON. The reason here we need two functions because they have a map. So a map you need to change to string, so we need two functions first cast, then we call add property. And the third example, the developer did replace two methods with two different methods. It's empty and put get replaced with two JSON null and add. So you see, like in migration, you could replace one method with one with many, many to many. There is an existing study that studied the challenges with library migration with the code, such as like one of them show that like library migration doesn't happen in one single command. It could happen in multiple commands. They call delayed migration. Another study shows that migration happen between different versions. Like if you get like JSON and test.nj, you could see there's migration happening from 4.4 to 4.3 and different. It's just migration could happen between any different two versions. You don't have to go from one version to another. Another study showed like the library migration process could take up to 42 days for developer to perform a migration from one library to another. Another study also shows that migration mostly done by developer with high experience, because companies, they don't want to break their code. So when they want to do migrations, they want developer with high experience to do migrations, so they reduce the possibility of having regression in the code. So they say, okay, let me give it for the developer with high experience with the code, so we make sure we have less possibility of regression. But however, so as you can see here, like the migration is subjective, error prone, time consuming, and manually. How all this research just talk about how migration happen and how about the impact of migrations on like in developer side, the time and challenges. No one yet discussed the impact of migration on the software quality. Like, okay, I did migration from one library to another. What's the impact of on the migration on my software? Like, did this migration make my software better or did it like made my software bad? And this is what we are going to do in this paper. Or what we did in this paper, we studied the impact of library migration on software quality. So the study we did it on the existing dataset provided by existing paper. They just provide a dataset for projects have a migrations. So what we did, our methodology, we just took this project, we scanned this project one by one, we run migration miner. Migration miner is just a tool that could detect whenever migration happens. So if you give it like 10 projects, it will tell you like in that project, in that comment, there is migration happen from this library to another. In that project, there is migration happen from JSON to JSON. In that project, there is migration happen from test NJ to JUnit. So it just identify the points on or the comments where the migration happened from one library to another. So by running this tool or migration miner on all these projects, we had a list of the comments and the project where the migration happened. Now we want to study the impact of software quality or the impact of migration on the software quality. So what we did, we got some tools such as like we want to study the design improvement. So we got understand tool and we run the tool on the code after migration and on the code before migration. And keep in mind, we did not run on all the classes, we ran only on the classes that involve in migration, because a comment could have a different changes, don't have to have only changes related to the migration. So we try to exclude the files that has no migrations to just reduce the false positive. And same thing, we study the code readability, so we run some code readability tools on the code before the migration, and we collect the information, and we run it after the migration, and we collect the information. And besides that, we design our ranking model to rank the method mapping examples based on the quality. So what that means, a single method mapping, such as you see it in this screen, it could have multiple examples. We could collect this mapping from different examples in the code. So what is the best example developer should follow? That's what we did in this research question. Like we try to rank examples based on which one has a better quality. So when someone wants to migrate from one library to another, he or she just go to the method, just go to our portal, just type the library name, and see the method name after that. Then using the method name, he or she could see list of the examples of migration existing migration examples that have been done by developers, and get ranking based on the quality. Which one better will go first, so the developer could follow them. Because as we said previously, the migration is subjective. Developer could take one method same method could be migrated differently by different developers. So it's better to give a rank example based on which one is better, and this is exactly how our methodology run. So let me just now go to the questions question by question and see like what the result we did get for every research question. First one, design improvement. Like, okay, what the impact of library migration of software quality? What the impact on the library migration on the coupling, cohesion, and complexity? And this is the result we got. We could see that clearly the coupling get down, and cohesion is not here. Cohesion is the lack of cohesion, so it's the opposite of the cohesion. It also went down. That is mean the cohesion went up. So because the good software quality have to have low coupling, high cohesion, and here you could see low coupling, low lack of cohesion. It is the opposite of cohesion. And also you see the complexity also went down. So in the three examples, for example, for the coupling, we went from average 2.0 to 1.8. From the lack of cohesion, we went from average of 5.4 to 4.8. And complexity, same thing. We went from 1.5 to from 1.59 to 1.50. However, like, okay, why? Let's get some examples why. This example from one of our projects is about coupling. So you see the old calls, that it's the same call, just the developer had to use three methods to do same functionality in the new library with one single method. So, okay, exactly reduce the coupling. So instead you do three calls from three different places, you do only one single call to one places. So, okay, less coupling. This is very simple example of how migration lead to low coupling. Same thing about cohesion. You see, like in this example, the developer in the previous, before migration, on the code before the migration, had to use two calls from the methods that from the desired libraries that two calls are replaced with the one call. So now single method could have a same functionality of two methods in the deprecated library. I mean, what that mean? Like, okay, the methods more represent itself. So yeah, higher cohesion. So the method represents itself better. So here, like, okay, this is a two example I got them from the code. Show you like how the coupling get improved and how the cohesion get improved. The another research question I would talk here about is, does migration improve code readabilities? So again, the results show us this is two approaches between two existing studies. There are two tools. We run them on the code. They generate the readability of the code. So you would see both these tools show us the readability improved. Like from the first tool improved from 4.67 to 4.8, and for the second tool improved from 0.56 to 0.60. So yeah, definitely there is readability improved by using two tools. We use two tools to reduce false positives and to see like how these two tools measure the readabilities of the code. And this is example like, okay, why readability get improved? So you see like in the retired library we use a put method, while in the new library we use add property. Yeah, add property is most likely most readable, and when we run the tool that detect the readability, you can tell the readability score like went from 0.0000001 to like 0.0002. That's mean, yeah, definitely there is improvement in readability in this code. Like, okay, you just say put, or you say put property, you just make the code more readable. So yeah, this readability get improved. A third research question we study here, as I said, we study like, okay, can we help developers to have better migration experience? Exactly as I said, like single method mapping could have multiple examples. So can we help developers to pick the best examples? What we did, we write this function, and this function show you like how we give a score for every instance of method mapping. It is sum of the coupling, cohesion, complexity, and readability. So what we do, like if you look at this example here, it is just a migration between create stick mock to mock, and you see that we find it in 4 different projects. But based on this project, we have different scores. So first one 2.4, second one 2.2, third one is 2.1, and the fourth one is 1.7. This score get calculated based on these functions. So we just like, okay, for every single instance, we sum the couple, cohesion, complexity, and readability, and we make it a one score, and we rank them so developer could see them ranking and pick the best one. And well, this is just, we did it. We need to validate it. Is this scoring good or bad? We talk with the senior engineer from outstanding companies, and we just give them all this ranking, and we ask every engineer to see if he agree with the ranking or not. So what does that mean? Like we give them score from we give them, for example, first developer, we give them like migration between JSON to JSON, and you see there is a method mapping. You can see, and every method mapping there is multiple examples, and the developer have to pick which example they think has high score or has high quality. So when we give them, the developer just pick examples, and if you see this figure show you like most developers agree, around like 59% of them agree the first ranked example is the best one, it has high qualities, and you go to the second 21, third 14, and then go for fourth and 5 example. So this is the way that we validate the scoring, and as you can tell, we could have some limitations here. Well, first of all, the developer are the human, and they may do a mistake, and they may not be the way that they evaluate the quality of the code may not be that pretty accurate. They are still human subjects. And the tool that we use multiple tools here. We use the tools to measure the coupling, cohesion, complexity, such as understand C++. We use the tools by 2 existing studies to study the code readabilities. All these are tools. These tools may have false positives, and we may not get a really good, really accurate result. Also, well, this this study may not be applied if the migration is required. So, for example, you may use a library and that library is no longer supported anymore, and you got to migrate to another library, and you know that library is bad, but you have to, because previous library is not supported. The study we did it, as I show you, we did it on 9 popular migration rules, and these 9 popular is really known, such as like JSON to JSON, TestNJ to JUnit, EasyMock to Mockito, all these very popular frameworks, and we may have false positive if we study or we did the experiment on the have to migration, such I said, like you have to migrate. So yeah, I hope all what I did like enough to explain everything about this paper. And if you have any question, let me know. Thank you for watching, and bye.